Jen here from Allie Beans at alliebeans.etsy.com, and I'm just coming on to do another jewelry tutorial with you on how to make a component clasp. This is considered an S hook here, or an S clasp, and it's real easy when you're attaching your jewelry. These are one of my favorites when I'm going to put my jewelry on. I feel like it's one of the easiest to work with. So all you're going to do is make the clasp here, which would attach to your bracelet, and then the other, which would be obviously on the other side. And then you could use either side here to clasp it together. So it just works out really well. A lot of people also use these for links. For beads, they'll kind of attach their beads on each side, and it's an easy way to connect them. So we're going to get started on how to do this. The supplies you're going to need is a wire. I suggest a 20 gauge, which is this one here. This is a German wire. Or you could do even an 18, 16, 14, 12. Obviously, those are going to be a little tougher. I wouldn't go above a 20. If you know, a lot of times the higher you go into a wire, the thinner that wire is going to be. For instance, this one here is a 26, and this is almost like thread. So this one here is a 20, so it's a little bit thicker. And if you went up here, this is a 16, so it's even thicker yet. But we're going to be working with the 20 gauge wire, some flush cutters, bail making pliers, flat nose pliers, chasing hammer, and of course our bench block to strengthen that clasp when we're finished. If you can see here too, I'm also wearing one that has the clasp. So I did the little attachment here with I attached my little stone on that little part there. You can do a little accent bead, whatever you want. And then also, of course, that S hook. So it just works out really great. And again, it's one of those that you don't really need help getting it on from somebody else because they're very easy to attach. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and start by just leaving this right on my spool to avoid waste. And I'm going to use my smallest on this bail making plier here, which I believe is a 3mm. And I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to roll it back right on the end. So I'm just rolling that back. And then gently slide that off. And you can see we have just a little circle here. And then I'm going to come right up to that circle with whatever size you want to use here. I'm going to go ahead and use this one here. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to pull it right up to that circle and I'm going to go the opposite direction. Okay, and then I'm going to pull that off. That same circle that we just used, make sure you flip it over, come right back up to that top again. Bend it the opposite way. Pull that out. Then use your flush cutters here to cut basically right along the line here. So we're going to come right where that curve is there. Snip. And then I'm going to take that same size that we used for that very first loop that we did, and I'm going to do this in the opposite way and roll that back this way. Okay. And then if you take those two pieces and gently push them together, you just formed an S hook, just like so. Super easy. Now it is kind of flimsy, so you are going to want to make sure that you use your chasing hammer to go ahead and round that up and harden that up and help it keep its shape. So we're going to go ahead and hammer that up. And it might come apart a little bit. That's fine. We can push it back together towards the end. See how that kind of split apart here? We're just going to take it and form it back together, almost overlapping, touching those sides, and then give it one more hammer while holding those pieces together. Perfect. So we have that part done there, and now we just need to make this little circle part, like this one here. So we're going to use those same pliers here to do that. This time I am going to cut off about a 5-inch piece or so. Okay. Kind of straighten that out with my fingers, or you could use some nylon pliers, whatever you want to use there. And now you have to decide how big you want that hoop to be. You could even do bigger and do a bigger plier, such as something like this. But I'm going to do something smaller, so I'm just going to use this one that was behind the last one we used. And I'm just going to put that in about halfway, just like so. Take my fingers and I'm going to wrap it around, just like this here. And I always like to say this reminds me kind of like those birds you drew in school. So it just kind of gives that loop there, but then you have that circle. And then what what you're going to want to do is take that smallest one here and just come right about, not quite to the middle, because it's going to, once you push it up, it's going to go to the middle, so a little off center. So just over this way, just a little bit. And I'm just going to bend that straight up. So now you have like this here. You can see it. There you go. Okay, and that's going to be the piece that we're going to wrap around this other loop, which I think it might, if you need to kind of bring that over in the middle a little more, just kind of adjust it where you need it. Here we go. So now I'm going to grab right around where that X meets, right below it. And I lied, we're going to need some chain nose pliers here, something to wrap this with. So you're just going to come up and wrap it, and I'm going to do 3 times. Anytime I use a 20 gauge or below, I always wrap 3 times to secure that really well. If I'm using like an 18 or a 16, 2 would be plenty, and with a 12, you could even just do 1 coil. Get that in there. So there we go. So I'm going to wrap it around, and I'm going to make sure that I cut that on the back side, because we don't want anybody to see that. So I'm just going to come right around on the back here, and take my flush cutters here, and I'm just going to flush cut close to that edge there. And I'm just going to take my chain nose, or you could use your flat nose here, and just take that little piece and kind of press that down. You just want to be able to rub your finger on there and not feel anything sharp, because obviously you don't want to, poke anybody. Now I do want to do the same loop size, just to kind of keep it real neat as this one here. So I'm going to use the same size on that bail making plier. And so when I do this, I'm going to cut off. I always kind of figure I've got this measurement down, but cut off about a 1/2 inch. That's about what you'll need to get that accurate. So right about there. You can see that's about a 1/2 inch. And you can always do a little more. More is better than less, because you can always snip when you're done to get that circle where you need it to be. Now I want this to close right where the back was, where that other little piece was. I'm going to have everything kind of close in there so that the front is nice and neat. But before I do that, I'm going to use my chasing hammer here and just kind of strengthen that circle. Nothing big, just kind of hardening that wire up just a little bit. And then I'm just going to bend this at a 90-degree angle. So you can see that's 90-degree angle there. And then I'm going to take that same size that I told you about, and I'm just going to round that back into my link. See, that fit perfectly. And then if you need to, you can take your chain nose and kind of straighten that out a little bit, get it center with the circle, and you could even bend it around the other way if you needed to for whatever your work is. But that is all you need to do, and then you just made yourself your own clasp, and it's so much prettier than just your basic lobster claw that you would buy or something like that. It's just another way to put some handmade touches onto your jewelry and make it a little bit more unique. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to follow me and share the love. And I hope you have a great day. And remember to visit my shop if you're looking for some of this stuff and it's not something you want to make but you'd like to purchase. You can find us at alleybeans at alleybeans.etsy.com. Make sure if you do come from this video to purchase something, shoot me a message and let me know that you saw this video, and I'll make sure that I send in a free pair of ear wires or maybe a free beach stone that's pre-drilled for you to work with or something along those lines. So I hope you have a fantastic Tuesday, and we will talk again soon. Bye, guys.